Thank you for coming out, this evening. You know, it's been such a nice day today. I know it's hard to come inside. We've got, you're in for a treat with Kristyna tonight. She's one of our Master Gardener volunteers, and she's also habitat builders and native plant certificate. She should be in my job. She has enough education that she could be doing what I do. She's an excellent speaker. She's really into removing invasives with the Habitat group in Marvin. And so she knows the invasives, she knows how to get rid of them. So you're gonna learn a lot from her tonight. And I put up, if you were, didn't check in back there, there's a free publication back there that we have on using native plants, in your landscape. So I brought that out for you tonight. Our next program coming up, we skip July, will be August, the first Thursday in August. And Stacy, hold your hand up. She's one of our new master gardeners. She's gonna be doing a program on water garden, in containers. And a handful of us, and many and a handful of master gardeners did a program last year, trying to see if we could do something for the public. And we decided, no, it's too hard, it's too heavy. We filled our things up and got them built, and then we couldn't get them in our car. We should have picked them up. So, but Stacy, helped a lot with that. She gave us plants, and I didn't do anything to my pot. It sat out on my patio all winter long, and it came back. Most of the plants came back, and I did nothing to it. I had to add some water because of the drought, but other than that, the plants came right back, and you know, we got pretty cold. So that will be a great program too. So thank y'all for coming out. I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Kristyna.
Good to see all of you. I'm sorry that these two ladies visited us, that you all have these plants at your house. I'm sorry for that, but hopefully we will be able to work through how we can get rid of some of them. I do think that the attitude needs to be not that you're going to remove every single one of them, because let's face it, you're not. But every single Nandina berry that you remove from the environment is an Nandina bush that never happened. So look at it that way. I mean, you got to stay positive, right? So Debbie said, I am a master gardener, but also the director of Habitat Builders, which is the North Carolina Wildlife Federation chapter on the west side of Union County. We also have another chapter on this side of Union County, and we both do work with invasives. So there's plenty of opportunity there, and we'll talk about that. Okay, it's not
Error.
I did. Okay, sorry.
Not working?
No. Let's see if I can make it do it. There, I'll do it that way. Okay, so gonna step back just a second and say, what is the purpose of plants, right? And I'm not gonna make you answer that. I'll answer it for you. Plants are food for somebody or something, right? That's sort of their job, to be food primarily. They do some other things too, like pull carbon out of the atmosphere, stabilize the soil, purify water. Those are important things too. But basically they are the bottom of the food web, right? And if they're not providing that service, then they're not really doing their job. I never really thought about it that way until kind of recently. So I'm going to talk about different types of plants, and I'm going to go really high level here and talk about native plants versus non-native plants. So here's a definition from Cornell Botanic Gardens. I just pulled off the internet, but I like the way they worded it. A plant is native if it has evolved and is adapted to a local environment, to the local environmental conditions, and is part of that natural community. It's kind of wishy-washy there. A non-native plant has been introduced, usually by humans, occasionally by a bird, but usually by us, either intentionally, kudzu, or not, stilt grass. And it may or may not be invasive in whatever location it's in. There are things that are invasive in the prairies in our country that aren't really invasive here, but they're not native. So native plants can be aggressive. Anybody have trumpet vine at their house? I do. It is crazy. I think it's going to eat my mailbox. I didn't plant it. It's native though, never blooms. It's native, but it is aggressive. I mean, it is a constant hacking back of that thing to keep it from eating the mailbox. But it's not invasive because it's native. But non-native plants can be invasive if they are aggressive. So let's talk about that. I found a couple of different definitions here. This is an interesting thing to look up if you're really bored. Look up the definition of invasive plant. You can sit there all day long and read everybody's definition, and none of them are exactly the same. So back to the Botanic Gardens in Cornell. I like this one because an invasive plant is one that is capable of moving aggressively. If you've had wisteria, you know what I mean about moving, right? Moving aggressively into a habitat and monopolizing resources. That sort of also means kicking out everybody else, right? Such as light, nutrients, water, and space to the detriment of other things. It's not like they're just sitting there living their best life and nothing else happens. They're living their best life, but they killed everything around them, right? It's kind of hostile. The USDA, executive order and all that, government stuff, an invasive species, their definition means an alien species whose introduction does or is likely to cause economic, environmental harm or harm to human health. That version seemed a little people focused. And I'm thinking a little bit bigger than that. Yeah, it'd be bad if it hurt us, sure. But it's bad if it hurts some other things too, right? So you kind of get the idea. This is a picture from my mother's front yard that used to be a flower bed. We let things go for 5 years. That's a multiflora rose and a wisteria, trying to see who's going to win. By the end of the year, neither one of them will. Just another way of looking at invasive plants, they offer little to no eco services outside of their native region. If they're at their normal place, then they offer eco services. But in kind of out of place, they do not. So this, for example, and there's some over there. Ligustrum sinensis is Chinese privet. There's 2 different kinds of privet on the table over there. And it has insect predators in China, not so much here, right? So it just grows and every single seed seems to come up. That's a little one. Somebody was talking about at their house. They're everywhere and they're huge. And yeah, she called them a tree, right? Because that's what they look like, technically a shrub, but they look like a tree. So who are all these bad guys? Other than, taking pictures of the weeping things. I mean, they didn't do so well with that water over here. So they're looking kind of rough. So this is a great place to look. North Carolina Invasive Plant Council. That is a fantastic website. And you got links there for it. This is just the beginning. You click on one of these pictures, shows you tons of pictures of it, and then it tells you how to get rid of it. And it's not always the same. Also, and I'll put it over here, they also print a shun list, which is like anti-shopping list. So this is stuff, do not buy this. We'll talk about that in a minute. Oh, that's a nice little list of things not to do, right? So lots of information there. South Carolina also has a great similar website. And they look at it a little bit different and don't just look at plants, they also look at pests too. Remember, we are very, very close to the South Carolina line, and plants and pests and people, we don't know where the line is, right? I mean, when you go back and forth, the plants certainly don't care. So that's a great resource too. Then the North Carolina Native Plant Society has a great list of plants. They actually work with the Invasive Plant Council a lot. So you'll see similar things on their websites, but either way. And then I linked to the invasive plant list from the NC Plant Toolbox, because I'm not allowed to give a presentation that I don't talk about the North Carolina plant toolbox, right? I use it all the time, right? So I don't mind. So the North Carolina Invasive Plant Council has levels of scariness: extreme threat and significant threat and considerable threat, and then these other 2 to keep an eyeball on. And it is fascinating what's in each of those, because I think about some of the things that I see over and over again, just a level 3. And so I can only imagine if they hit level 1, they'll just be everywhere. So anyway, this is interesting to see. Most of what we're going to talk about today is going to be from level 1 or level 2. A couple of level 3s, just because they're real prevalent. Look at this list. All of these things are still for sale right this minute, in various and sundry places in North Carolina. It's not a wonder they're all over our yards, right? Because you can go buy some English ivy right now. Makes me crazy. So you can read the list. Wisteria is particularly by English ivy, vinca. Sorry, my mother loves it, and I love her, but it's crazy. You can even still buy Bradford pears here, calorie pear, whatever. You buy the Bradford pear, it becomes a calorie pear. I just think this is amazing. Some other common invasives that I doubt were, well, Liriope is for sale, but the rest of these that are on this list, I doubt that they were ever really for sale. They just keep showing up. Microstegium, I don't think anybody ever bought a container of microstegium. That's still grass, and it's in one of those little pots over there, and I promise you, it's at your house. It's everywhere. Youngia japonica is this little guy up here, and it has a stem and then little flowers up here, little yellow flowers. That thing will bloom 12 months out of the year. Everybody knows Japanese honeysuckle, multiflora rose. My husband is from West Virginia, and he says that should be the state plant. Not in a good way, right? He says everywhere. Tree of Heaven, Princess Tree, and China Berry are all trees that, you know, once you've seen the leaves, you see them all the time. And then we all know monkey grass. Probably shouldn't talk about that one. So that's all the gloom and doom. So what are we going to do about this? The easiest thing to do is don't buy any of this stuff, right? And even if somebody gives it to you and says, oh, I had extra of this, hey, just throw it in the garbage can. Just honestly throw it away. They are not, it's not that they're not your friend, but they're not, you know, they're trying to get rid of it out of their yard. The second thing is when you see berries, and you don't see them so much on honeysuckle, you kind of have to look for that, but I've seen them. I mean, that's my picture, so privet has berries. Some of it has berries right now, actually, and then Nandina berries, you can't miss those. I have been known to stop my truck and go and cut them off and run to the garbage can. So not in anybody's yard that I know of. So those are the two easiest things to do, right? You didn't have to do too much work right there. And carry this shun list with you wherever you go, when you go shopping for plants, and don't buy that stuff. Or just memorize it, whichever. The other way is a little more violent, I guess. And that is to kill it. Kill it, you know, all these things, this is the fun way to kill it. Yeah, you see, I knew I would tell a few of those tonight, yeah. So to kill it, and there's a couple of different ways to do that. You can pull things up out of the ground. What if we learned about pulling things up out of the ground? What happens when we do that? It causes lots of other things to germinate. I do have one exception to that, but yeah, so I mean, but sometimes that's the only thing to do, or that's just, you don't have all these tools of destruction with you. You can also smother things with cardboard and then mulch, and that works in some situations pretty well, but that's a lot of work too, although we all have tons of cardboard. You can cut most of these, especially the shrubs and the smaller trees, when they're the little, they look sort of like shrubs, you can cut them, but I promise you, you will go back and cut them again and again and again. It will never end. And if you cut all the time, by all means, keep doing it. But what I have decided in the grand scheme of things is that cutting and painting with an herbicide is probably your best solution. So either with, you know, these kind of things or this. And this is 20% glyphosate with a dye in it. And the dye helps make sure you know where you've been. And believe it or not, when you're doing a BC of this stuff, it's hard to remember where you've been, and that will help you out a lot. I was anti-glyphosate forever, and I have cut privet and cut it, and just like we were talking about earlier, cut it and cut it and cut it for years, and it just keeps coming back. I think it makes it happy. I know how to make it really sad. So, so that's one way. The hack and squirt method is just fun to say, but it's a tree or a larger, you know, we'll call those privets trees, a bigger plant. You hack into the bark, take kind of a notch out of it, and then you paint that with glyphosate. And that, I haven't noticed that really works great. It's better to cut the whole thing down and paint it. And then my last on the list is spray with herbicide. I don't like to spray. I don't like to use up all that glyphosate. I don't want to breathe it. I don't want to wear it. And I don't think it works as well as the other methods. So, but you know, if it works for you, then keep going. I thought this was a great chart from NC Botanical Gardens, and I will put a plug in for them. If you've never been, you should go. It's very cool. It's in Chapel Hill area, I think. So they the type of plant it is, very general, whether it's deciduous or evergreen, and then what time of year it is, because interestingly enough, it depends on what kind of time of year it is, how you treat things. You can always remove stuff. And I think I've got that on a slide somewhere. If
They want to do it.
there's that. And so I think this is a great chart. And all of these, I will post these on our website, or we'll have this posted on our website. So you'll be able to download this if you want to. But I thought that was a great way to start. Here's the thing though. The very first thing you gotta do though, is figure out what plant you're looking at. It's just like when you have a pest problem, a bug problem, whatever. You gotta figure out that you're pulling the right plant. Tree of heaven, a lot. Doesn't smell like it, so that solves that problem. But I have taken innumerable pictures of tree of heaven before I figured out the difference between that and sumac. You don't want to get rid of sumac, well, I don't, but tree of heaven, yes, gotta go. So you gotta figure out what plant you're looking at. I use iNaturalist like religion sort of, and I think that's a great plant app. There are dozens of plant apps, so pick your choice. But the other place to go is the database that I showed you for North Carolina Invasive Plant Council. South Carolina, same thing. The identification list with the Native Plant Society. But you can also join me or the other chapter and pull some weeds yourself. And we will show you what privet looks like, and you will never forget, I promise. And you know, you can find all of these, thank God. All of these are not in one location usually. Maybe at Sheila's house, but not, maybe that's what we should do our next one. She's like, yes, pick me. But we do these for 2 hours, usually fall through winter. I have done them as late as April, and I didn't care for that. It's getting buggy and ticky and chiggery, and no, not doing that again. I don't mind snakes, but I don't want those other things. But I mean, this guy is literally, I mean, this is a strong 35-year-old dude, right? Pulling, I think that's probably a honeysuckle vine out of these trees. I mean, it was some work that day. But anyway, that's the best way, I think, to figure out what you're doing. Some plants are easier to identify at certain times. So things that are evergreen, privet, olive, when I say olive, I mean like the one to eat. Exotic honeysuckle, hawksbeard, English ivy, those are pretty easy to see when there's nothing, no other leaves on the trees, right? It's really stark. And once you see them, and you're driving down the road, you can't stop seeing them. It's like, oh, more ivy, more privet, you know? But some are not. You're not gonna see stilt grass in January. I mean, you might see what was left of it. There's this little dead stuff and you're like, yay, but it'll be bad, you know? Bradford pears, really hard. I mean, any of the trees are really hard to tell from just their bark. That's tough. And then wisteria, generally you can tell it's wisteria because of what it's doing to a tree, right? I mean, it gets huge around a tree, but they're just a little bit harder to tell in the winter. So this is a really messy piece of property at the top of our road where I live. And this is just recent. I've been working on this for a long time. You wouldn't know it, but this was in January. And you can't tell from this picture, but the green stuff up there and down here, that's privet. And then there's English ivy all over the trees. But what I happen to know is that there's also tree of heaven, mimosa and wisteria in there, but you never know from that picture, right? Because it's just a big old hot mess and everything that's green is privet or English ivy. So get my point. For example, Bradford pear, when they bloom, if you're not able to cut them down at that point for whatever reason, mark them and put something on there that says, this is the Bradford pear and come fall, we're going to cut this thing down, right? We do that in the park a lot in Marvin. Okay, so let's get down to how we're going to do this. I picked this one because I spent a lot of time pulling ivy this year. It just happened that way. This is my dear sainted mother's house, and that's the tree that's not as bad as the other tree. So this one's not, this one anyway. So the idea is don't buy it and don't let somebody give it to you, smile, throw it away, that kind of thing. But if you got it, it sounds like a disease. If you've got ivy on some trees or in your landscape, the very first thing to do is get it off the tree. And the reason for that is once it starts growing vertically, it changes its habit and it gets seeds. And then if you thought you had a lot of ivy, you got a lot more. It's like exponential growth, right? So you want to get it off the tree, but you don't want to just rip it off the trees. Some trees can handle that. I doubt you could kill a sweet gum that way. You probably don't care anyway, but you could really hurt this oak tree by ripping that, ivy off of it. So the idea is to go up 5 feet, wherever you want, cut it, and then pull it off the rest of the tree, leave that, it'll die, it takes a while, but it will die. Pull this bit out as far as you can, and it might not be far, right? And then cut that, and I would paint it with glyphosate, 20% solution of glyphosate in that little bottle over there, but you just like dab it on there, you don't get it all over you. And that will eventually kill some of the rest of that. The best thing to do is just rip it up out of the ground as you go, but let the rest of it up that tree die of its own. You can just pull it and cut it, that's better than not. Cut it and paint it. A friend of mine has said that she has smothered the stuff on the ground with cardboard and mulch with good results. I have not tried that, but I mean, it's worth trying, right? It can't hurt anything.
So Christina?
Yes.
If you wanted to use a cardboard method, but the ivy is all around your trees, are
Yeah.
you also keeping?
So she asked if the ivy's all around the trees, when you try to do the cardboard thing, I would pull it away from the trees first, get it far enough away that it's not gonna sneak out. Because the minute it can get a vertical surface, then it just goes, right? So I would pull it away from the trees and then try that.
Well, and I'm thinking like, so are you also keeping the rain from getting on your tree roots if you've got cardboard down?
Oh, no, I didn't say this part. I would wet that cardboard really good before I put it down. And then the water will get through there.
Okay.
Yeah, but those are good questions. The really awesome thing is you can do this year round. You can stop your car wherever you see ivy and just get out and go kill it. I usually do ask first, but not always. Most people don't care if you do that. I do remove this stuff. I don't trust ivy not to root. I just feel like it might root right here on the floor, right? I don't trust it. Wisteria is very similar approach. And I brought a wisteria vine. I just happened to pull it out of that little section of land that I showed you earlier. And it's 20 feet long. It goes forever. Anyway, go 3 to 5 feet up, cut it, paint it, pull it as much as you can. It will root as well. It doesn't root like ivy does in the ground, but it will root some. So it's a very similar approach to ivy. I cut and paint it, but you can just cut it. And I remove the excess material too, because again, I don't trust it not to root where it is. Now, that doesn't mean I throw it in the garbage can. I am making like a separate pile, because I've got space at that particular property. And I just make that eye on it. So if it starts going crazy on me, it's in the garbage. Fall is the best time for herbicide treatment. Just look in your head, fall, and you have to say fall. Because the plants are going to bring all of their into the roots, deciduous ones anyway. And so that's the best time to cut herbicide, so the cut and paint too. You can cut this anytime. But I feel like, especially in the winter, you're just kind of wasting your herbicide and your time, because it's not fun to cut and paint. That's just it's a 2-person job, but you end up doing it yourself. It's a little bit hard to do. So just cut it, get it out of there. That's better than nothing. But that's the wisteria. This is a bigger picture of that. This is probably this high. It's grown up on all the azaleas, and it takes no time at all to just take over and up. It's killed a few trees in that property. Shrub removal. Well, she's saying her privets are like trees, and I don't doubt that they will get like that. Privet, olive, nandina, multifloral rose. Those, don't buy them, don't plant them. You got that part. When they're little, you can pull them out, especially with all the rain we've had. Right now is the perfect time to pull stuff out. Again, though, you run the risk of having plants germinate under there. But if you can handle that, maybe something good will germinate. It never seems to work that way, but it could happen. Pull the berries off.
And just let you guys put it.
If you could mute, please.
Yeah.
The excess material shouldn't root. When we
Thanks.
Marvin Eagle Park,
But
keep it in a stack. And hey, Jeffrey, can you mute, please? We just leave them kind of piled up. And I kind of hope that they create a little habitat for something like, right? And it's probably a mouse, but they live there too, right? But I haven't seen it reroot. For years in the park, we would cut privet and leave it. And every year I would have to go back and cut it again and cut it again, and that's when glyphosate happened. I just gave up. But I try to do it as safely as possible, and I don't do it with kids. So y'all don't get to do the glyphosate. You just get to do the cutting, which seems fun enough, right? Again, fall is the best time to use the herbicide, but get rid of it anytime you see it. That's just the number one rule. And don't waste your herbicide in the winter. These are a little harder because they're bigger, right? So that means you get your tiny chainsaw. That's what I call that thing. I've cut down trees that big with that chainsaw. So it's possible. It's not safe, and you shouldn't do it by yourself. And nobody said I ever did. So anyway, I don't think you can, well, yeah, you can buy a Bradford pear. So yes, you can. Anyway, same idea. Cut it and paint it, or just cut it down. I mean, really, with a Bradford pear, cut is better than up, right? Same idea here. Fall is the best time if you're going to use herbicide. Winter is not a great time to put the herbicide on it, but cut it down anyway. And some of the things I've read online is if you're going to cut it in a time that you're not putting herbicide, but you plan to do that later, leave it a little bit higher, mark it, wrap it in, pink tape or something. And then later on, come back and recut it and paint it. For whatever reason, if you have to do that. The excess material shouldn't root unless it's got flowers all over it, and then those might have seeds at some point. So be careful with that. And those are, I hesitate to show the pretty pictures of invasive plants, but that's one. I mean, right now it's really pretty, right? And it even smells good. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. Don't let it lull you into a false sense of security. Stiltgrass. I had never heard of this stuff until recently, and it's everywhere. So I have two different approaches. I'm calling it a dense monoculture. I don't know if that's what it's called or not, but in my woods, it'll be just as far as you can see, and there is nothing else, right? I weed eat it, and I weed eat it, and I weed eat it. And the standard best practice is to weed eat it just before it blooms. I mean, am I gonna have a camera on it and just check? I'm never gonna, and it never all blooms at the same time anyway. So I think that's a great idea. I'm just not sure how to implement that. So and when I say weed eat it, I'm not talking, it was this tall and I took it here. I mean, down to the ground, it comes right back, but you just keep doing it. And it uses up all its energy or something. So that's good. I've also read, but not tried, a very low concentration, 0.25% glyphosate, that is a really low concentration. And you just spray that kind of over, because the stiltgrass will get pretty tall and there can be all kinds of plants underneath it. It's allegedly kills the stiltgrass and not the stuff underneath. I don't know. I can't do that because that picture at the top is near a creek. And you can't use glyphosate near a creek. Well, you shouldn't. So I'm saying can't. I think cardboard and mulch might work. I haven't tried it because that's a really big piece of land right there in the woods. I'm not dragging all that stuff down there. So I can drag the weed eater. Now, if it's more like this and it's a little bit harder to see in that case, the lower picture, I call that surgical weeding, where you're just down there weeding like this. Don't make a face. It's not. And if the weather's nice and it's shady, it's kind of cool. That is a good job for you two here. I'm just saying, and I'm giving your mom an idea. But I haven't pulled stiltgrass before. Some of you, yeah, and it pulls right up, right? And Debbie and I have talked about this. The only redeeming quality that it has is it comes right up out of the ground.
What's going on?
Stiltgrass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it just comes right up. And so it's one of the few that I don't mind pulling because I don't think it's disturbing much of anything. It doesn't feel like it's really doing much damage around it. So I will pull that out and leave all those other little plants in there. I didn't say it was fun. But it can be meditative if you put your brain in the right place and listen to a lovely book or a song. I don't know. It could happen. Anyway, it's not the worst thing in the world. If it is in bloom or it's got seeds on it, and they're not the most obvious, but you can tell it's got to go in the garbage can. It just causes every single seed germinates, I'm convinced. Now, here's an idea that I have not implemented. I keep saying I'm going to do this. This grass over here, and it's not a great picture, but it's called nimbleweb. And it is probably in your turf grass right now, unless you're really careful with your turf grass. I don't even have turf grass, I just have green stuff. it stays about this tall, so it's a little too tall for a turf kind of situation. But there are rumors that say that that can outcompete steelgrass. I figured at least give it a run for its money, right? You can get seeds of that at Roundstone. So I have not tried that yet, but I think if I can ever get that one up there kind of under control a little bit better, I'll at least try it because it's already on the property, so it's not a big deal. And it's a great grass. It looks wonderful. And it's dense. See how dense it is? It's way denser than steelgrass is, because steelgrass is one little plant. That's like a colony. Anyway, something to think about. And I think it's pretty.
Is it deep rooted?
It's deeper rooted than steelgrass. That's not really saying much.
So like over like a septic field?
Mhm. Oh, no, I think it'd be fine with that. It's a little, it can't go too deep.
It's fairly shallow, right? It's kind of easy to pull up too.
But not like, I don't think it's as easy. I've never had it with steelgrass, come to think of it. Never seen it together.
I have a couple spots in my zoysia lawn and I can tell the difference by the color and the leaf itself.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's full, but it has all these little pieces, so you think you've got it all pulled and you don't.
But I like it. So she's saying, Debbie is saying that it's easy, it's relatively easy to pull out, the nimble wheel is, but it's kind of, that's not a big problem. Can you please mute? Okay, so, and I think I said this over and over again, but it bears repeating because it is something I learned from doing this presentation. It really does matter what time of year you're doing what. Remove all this stuff any old time, right? But you're gonna, and please do that. Don't let anything stop you. But fall is the best time if you're gonna use an herbicide. If you're not, and it doesn't matter. And I wouldn't bother to use an herbicide in winter because the plant is dormant, unless it's an evergreen, sorry. But one of the things that I do in winter when there's not really a lot of gardening stuff to do, and I don't know, I went out in the house and there's one of those deciduous plants have their leaves on them then. So mix it all up there. That's just my opinion. And this is a partial list. This is not everything. These are just plants that I have worked with. But the quickest way to get some privacy is to build a trellis over the offending area and grow probably Carolina jessamine. I would put these two together, but Carolina jessamine is evergreen. It's a native vine. It blooms in March and it is beautiful and it smells great. And then those blooms fall off, but it is a really, it's there. If you've never seen this, it usually goes way up in the trees, but you can grow it on fence, a trellis. It'll grow on top of plants. It's pretty aggressive. But if you take all those flowers away, the green behind it stays pretty much year-round. And so you've got a nice little privacy screen and it's native. Did you have a question?
The honeysuckle, how do you tell the difference between the native and?
I've got a picture later on. In my opinion, the native honeysuckle is bluer. Like if you put them side by side, two things, the native honeysuckle leaves are bluer. They are shaped a little bit different. They have this one little weird thing at the top, but they never look as sturdy as the Japanese honeysuckle looks like it's about to take over the world. And that's mainly the way. It's greener though, and yellower, more yellow. If it's blooming, it's easy to tell. But once you see the two side by side, you're like, got it. It's not hard. But it's a really good question between the two. Okay, if you want berries, here's a list of stuff that has berries. And there are more things. Yeah, I know blueberries are not red. I got it. But you can eat them. So you can't eat Nandina berries. You really shouldn't eat Nandina berries. Inkberries are also not red, but American holly, winterberry, and possum haw holly, and red chokeberry, and spice bush, those are all red berries. They're all native. And so you get to look at red berries, and some wildlife or other is having a blast. The blueberries you can share. Good luck. I never get any. Right? So to replace all those trees, we're gonna, was it hack and squirt? Yeah, crazy. This is one of my all-time favorite trees. This is a fringe tree. Anybody have one of those? Yeah. So there's an American version, there's a Chinese version, and there usually are. Get anything I'm talking about, please get the native version. But those are gorgeous. And around here, they will just grow on their own. I mean, I'd see them pop up every once in a while. They stay pretty small, as do service berries. Red buds, everybody knows what they look like. Dogwoods, you know those. Sourwood, you may not know those. They get pretty tall. But they also do some nice fall color too, gorgeous in the fall. American plum, I've never seen one of those around, but it does exist. Wild black cherry, if you've got woods, you've got wild black cherry. And there's a lot of people that are like, really exists in that plant. And I think it's awesome. It grows super fast. It's pretty, got great flowers that hang down like this. And the bugs love that. All the magnolias and all of the native hollies, those are all great. They're technically trees. Just really slow and some of them stay small. So those are great replacements for those trees that have those beautiful flowers on them for 5 minutes. Grasses, we didn't talk too much about miscanthus. That's usually one of those things that I see at the front of homeowners, neighborhoods, you know, in the, what do you call that? The monument area or whatever, but sometimes in people's property. And I should have gotten a picture. I do know if you go west, go to the mountains, you will see it growing on the side of the roads everywhere with the butterfly bush. There shouldn't be there either. So it's kind of taken over in the mountains and is really sad. So I figure it's coming this way. Tons of opportunities for replacements there. This is panic grass, switchgrass, some people call it. There's lots of different kinds. Some are a little redder. That one is a little on the blue side and it's pretty voracious. It's a big plant, but I love it. And I took that picture the other day. So that's what it looks like right now. And then it'll have a seed head that comes up. So it's probably this tall right now. That's kind of how big this miscanthus gets. Indian grass is a little bigger. Little blue stem stays smaller down here. It's pretty grass. Everybody knows what muley grass is. I mean, there's a white version. Good luck to find that. But most of it's the pink. One that I think does not get enough attention is juncus, which is a common rush. It's really prickly, right? Like you need to wear glasses if you've been down and look at it. I have been poked too many times, but it will grow in water. It will grow in dry. It prefers the water, but I mean, it'll grow almost in standing water. I've got it in the rain garden. It is a tough plant and very architectural. It's just green and it has this little flower that comes off. So it's a tough plant. Prairie dropseed is more, like this size. And then love grass is more of, I think it's about a foot tall. So it stays small and it has a little pink, purpley kind of flower on it in the fall. And then this could be an entirely different hour of conversation, probably 3, about carrots. So there are tons of native carrots. Don't get the other ones. Tons of different shapes and sizes. Some like the shade, some like the sun, some like the wet, some like the dry. There's something for everybody. And I will say that the plant toolbox does not have them all listed. Go check out Izell go check out, Mount Cuba. They have lots of other varieties to learn about. Those are great, replacements for Liriope particularly. There's our, coral honeysuckle, and you see this, I'm scared to use
So
this.
that's the native.
Yeah.
Oh, the pointer's on the bottom, on the underneath.
That's not.
Oh, that little.
Oh, right there. So you see that little leaf right there? It's like, it's almost like this, and then the bloom comes out. The Japanese honeysuckle doesn't have that. Also, the leaves they're skinnier, and this doesn't really show it, but they're just bluer looking, where the other ones are rounder and yellower,
And the Japanese is a white flower.
or yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, and it doesn't really look like that at all. Yeah. The only problem is this does not smell at all. Yeah, that's too bad. But it's growing in the woods and I didn't have to plant it or buy it or any of that stuff. So replacement of wisteria or ivy. Well, here's one idea. Don't replace it. I mean, it shouldn't have been growing up the tree to begin with. But coral honeysuckle, Carolina jessamine, it'll grow up a tree and not kill it. Both of those will grow up a tree and not kill them. As will, well, allegedly American wisteria. I've never seen any. I don't think I've ever seen any in the wild for sure. I don't know if it's been pushed out completely. Debbie, have you ever seen any?
Not in the wild. I've got some in my garden that I intentionally planted.
Yeah, okay, so you can buy it, okay. And it's the calmer, gentler sister of the other. One that I really like is this guy growing right here. Look at those leaves. It's very cool. The leaves look at about like this. And that is crossvine. And the flowers on it are probably, what's that, 3 or 4 inches? And you could, they're that big around. They're big flower. And it just does its thing up on trees, and it's got a very specific leaf shape. So once you've seen it, you kind of know that's what it is, but it is not going to hurt that tree. Someone else will get that tree before that vine does. I did add Virginia creeper up here, and I feel like you have to have a warning about that one because it's pretty aggressive. And if it's not growing up a tree, it can just take over a garden area. So that's at your own risk, but it is native. It has a berry on it, wildlife loves it, all that stuff. There is actually it's a little book sort of, and I can't remember what website it's on. It's probably, NC Invasive Plant Council, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it was created for the coastal region, but most of the plants work here too. Some of them, they wouldn't, and you can figure that out. But it's, instead of planting this, plant that. So it's some of the same things that we're talking about here. So lots of resources, as always, your do not buy list, all the invasive plant places. You see do not plant list, pocket guide for Western North Carolina. Most of those work for us too. Again, not all. And when I upload this, these will all be clickable. The place where I bought this applicator is called the North America, I'll make sure I do this, Invasive something Management Association, sorry. Anyway, you can buy this applicator, you buy the dye, and you get 2 of these at a time, and then you just buy glyphosate and put it in it. The reason I don't use Roundup is because at least the version at Lowe's does not have glyphosate in it anymore, and I don't think it really works all that well. There's also an article on Xerces.org, and that's XERCES, that showed, and it's a researched article that showed that the inert ingredients in Roundup, back when it had glyphosate in it, were more harmful to pollinators than the glyphosate was when it was sprayed. You know, that kind of defies the definition of inert, but that's out there. So I just use glyphosate, Tractor Supply, it's 41%, cut it in half. And the plant toolbox, all of that. This will keep you busy for a while, right? So that's how to contact me. Please come out and pull up some bark cuts, some invasive plants with us. We will start posting those on our calendar on Habitat Builders, our invasive plant removals. We'll probably start them in October this year and do 1 or 2 a month. We usually do them on Saturday or Sunday, usually for 2 hours. No one has any more attention than that, so neither do I. And we'll do October, November, December, January, February, probably. We'll try to hit 1 a month for all those months. And you can come out and learn about all these plants and how to kill them. And there's lots more information there. So what questions do you guys have? Yes, please.
Native viburnums.
Yes.
What are, I didn't,
There should have been one up
I
there.
didn't see lists of.
Yeah, it would be deciduous.
They're all deciduous, like Carly Sai or, you know.
Yeah, so the kicker there is to make sure that it is in fact a native viburnum. So look on the plant toolbox to make sure it's native. And I think, oh,
Can I hear the question?
oh, so she asked about native viburnum or just viburnum in general, and there are we'll call them exotic. There are exotic viburnum, but there are tons of native viburnum. But I think they're mostly deciduous. And they're like a small tree, most of them. They have beautiful flower on them. Yeah.
Smell.
Oh, yeah.
Just a question on red buds.
Mhm.
Do you see any problem with, using like the Texas red buds or Oklahoma red buds, you know? I mean, they're more drought tolerant, so. Anyway,
No, so is it still,
Native enough.
is it Circes canadensis? Is it still that genus and species? And it's just a variety,
Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah.
So it's a good question. So he's asked about red bud and what if you get a variety that is better suited for a more drought tolerant Texas place? You know, things do not have to be 100% native from my, what do you call it? The ecoregion version of the red bud that grows in my yard, you know.
okay,
That's great, but to your point, we are getting warmer in general, right? Our temperatures are getting warmer. I don't know if we're getting drier, it just depends on the day, right? So that may or may not work for you, but it's better than planting a mimosa. How about that? It's way better than that, right? Yeah, back in the back.
You pulled out a section of stillgrass, which we have, and of course,
No.
you come back pretty quick. Is there something you can plant to help hold that stillgrass, or would it just overwhelm everything else first?
So he's asking if I get rid of a bunch of stillgrass, what can I put in its place? And that's where that nimble will comes in. I think that's a nimble will was, I can go back, maybe. I don't know if I can or not. Oh, look, now it's working. There, this plant over here. Yeah, so, and round stone seeds, at least last year, they were selling seeds. It's a little hard to find the seed. But that's exactly what I would try. And it'll be dense. The problem with stillgrass is shade doesn't bother it. It's like with Bermuda grass, you have a little bit of a chance of killing it with shade. Not really, but a little bit, or dry. But yeah, I'd try that. And I'd love to know if it works.
Okay,
You could be our guinea pig.
let's see.
Yeah. Another question, yes. ma'am.
I saw early in your slide deck, clematis was listed as invasive. Are there any native species of that?
Yes. Plant toolbox. So is there a native clematis? And I believe there is. Debbie, do you know? I think there's one.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. There's one or two maybe.
And they're not as showy as the ones that are on everybody's, mailbox. So, yeah, there's that. But all those other vines that I was talking about, like, coral honeysuckle, because Debbie gave me some actually, and General, what's it called? The one that.
Wheeler.
That's major.
Yeah,
I knew he was in the
And
reserve there.
there's also something Clayton is the yellow one.
It was yellow. Yeah, no, I like it. So Major Wheeler, I've got that in a pot. Ever since you gave it to me, 5 years ago, it's been living in a pot. It's a big pot, and it grows up a trellis. And I have seen it bloom 11 months out of the year. Now, is it gonna bloom more right now than it's going to in November? Yes. But that clematis isn't gonna bloom at all in November, is it? So something to think about. So there's probably, I'm pretty sure there's a native version, but it's not very showy. Yeah, and the other ones are not, I don't think they're gonna take over the world or anything, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. They're pretty. Another question. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of them. I've got kudzu on one end and then ivy on the other end. And they're starting to, creep close. Which one's gonna take over?
I don't know, but I don't know. So she's got kudzu on one side of her property and it's not funny, I'm sorry. And English ivy on the other side, who's gonna win? I don't wanna find out. I mean, I do wanna find out, but they'll probably live happily together, won't they? I mean, honestly, I would get some goats if you got that many. Rent a goat. One of our master gardeners today said she was looking for goats to clear out something. And goats work really great if there's nothing there that you want to keep. because they are not discerning at all.
And, no, I have a lot of IVs, and so what would be a good replacement as a ground cover?
As a ground cover. So, and you know, that's when I did put replacements up here for. I don't, well, actually, if you don't have any other kinds of plants in, like it's just gonna have a ground cover, then that Carolina jessamine would be a good ground cover replacement for ivy. That's what she's asking for. But if there's anything for it to grow up, it will. Like I've got it just, it's like in waves over the top of things. I don't.
Well, ivy killed tree.
Mhm.
They feel.
Yeah, it takes a while. It's not like wisteria. Wisteria will kill a lot faster, but
Okay. And then my other question is, I have, pampas grass at the entrance of my driveway. And I started with one plant and now I've got like 8. And I burned them. And I want to get rid of them. How do you get rid of them?
so, yeah, no, yeah, I've got one in my backyard that I keep saying I'm gonna kill, because my neighbor gave it to me. Not really, she did. So she's talking about pampas grass. Yeah, they are, and they're like razors. I'm telling you, do not mess with it in the summertime. I cut the flower heads off of it and throw them in the garbage the minute they start coming up. So I don't have 10 of these things back there. I only still got one, but I don't get near that thing until I am covered from head to toe, which you're not gonna do now, it's too hot. So wait till it's cold and then hack it back. And you could put glyphosate on it, that would probably kill it.
Spray it.
You could, in that case, you might want to do that but you're going to want to do that in the fall, not in the winter, right? But the best thing to do is to look it up on the NC Invasive Plant Council. Look up what their suggestion is for pampas grass, just in case I said it wrong.
And I have one more question.
Oh, these are fascinating.
On the privet, is that a native? It's not.
No, privet is not native.
Okay, and so when, like I have, like where I've cut it, I have a little chainsaw like that, and I've cut them down, but now they have a bunch of, sprouts. When you paint it, do you paint all of them, or?
So now that you've got that, so she's cut it back and did not paint it with, an herbicide, which is fine. I mean, you stopped it a little bit, right? So you can do 2 things. It's starting to do little branches. It's coming back, but you've weakened it. I promise you that. You can keep cutting it to a point if you're down below ground, right? Or you can cut it again and paint it again. I would wait till fall. Or you can, what I've been doing, because I had some that I painted a little too late in the year. So I will just pull all those little bits that come off, just, making it mad.
In tabble.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, that's a pain. So that's the reason I started cutting and painting things, because doing that just takes so much time, right? So next time, cut and paint it, if you're okay with doing that. But yeah, I would.
It was just like you just do one and then we kill the whole thing.
Yeah.
You gotta do all.
Especially this time of year. This time of year is just not, the plant is growing this way. It's growing out, not in. So if you wait till fall and then break off all those little limbs and paint that's your best bet to do. Sorry. Yeah, yes, sir.
If there's any other lazy, like me, we're still grass, you can use affectional ethyl.
What is that?
It's sold as a plain extra.
Okay, so he's saying that a claim extra is something that he's used on the still.
Kill still grass, won't kill your fescue. It's stuff that we will use on our hay pasture.
Mhm.
Some of the broadleaf ones, you can use a 2,4-D or an amine. And these are not restricted use, but if you spray them, you have to label them for at least 24 hours that they've been sprayed.
Yeah.
And keep them using glyphosate over and over and over
Oh,
again
yeah.
is really not going to help trying to replant other stuff or.
So he's got a very different situation than his backyard. He's got fields, and so he's talking about how he's getting rid of still grass and tucking his thing. It's very weird. How you're getting rid of still grass in pastures, that you're trying to grow other things and not just trying to get rid of it. You're trying to, yeah. So that's different. I'm not suggesting, I was not suggesting that you would spray glyphosate over and over and over again, it's supposed to just kill it. I know that more, seeds will germinate, but there is an end to the seed bank. I have to believe that. But so you've got some other options. I would say with the steelgrass, if you go to and see Invasive Plant Council's website, they've got a ton of stuff about steelgrass. And they probably have some of those other options.
And then there's another invasive called Johnson grass.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen them fall back everywhere.
And it's big. Johnson, he's talking about Johnson grass and that gets, I mean, is it 5 feet tall? It's huge.
Easy,
Yeah.
easy. And there's a full fertilizer that you can spray and not kill your grass.
Okay. And again, with pesticides, all of them, every single kind, I don't care if it's for bugs or if it's for plants or whatever it is. The label is the law. Whatever the label says, it's what you do or less, not more. It's not more is better. We'll just do straight strength and kill it all. Yeah, and yourself. So we're going to do that.
Where's your BT?
And thank you. And that was one of the things that I didn't mention, and it wasn't in my picture either. I do not do this without gloves on. And usually when I'm using the glyphosate, I will put latex gloves on underneath and then those gloves on top, because I don't want that stuff on me, right, at all. I'd be blue, but
Wear goggles too.
yeah, especially if you're spraying. If you're cutting and painting,
Spraying the respirator.
yeah, if you're spraying, you have to gear up like you're going to the nuclear waste facility. But if you're cutting and painting, you're a little safer that way. I'll get you this.
So this is going back to the English ivy.
You can't ever leave it.
Well, when I lived in Atlanta, the previous owner had planted it and fertilized it.
Oh, my God. Okay, so he lived in a place that had English ivy that was planted and fertilized. What happened next?
And then it spread over the entire backyard up into the wooded area. So we brought in goats
Yeah.
and the goats ate it, but they uncovered enough of the runners that you could then go back and pull it out. And that's how we got it under control, was goats and sweat equity.
Yeah, no, so absolutely.
Everything else worked.
And one of our master gardeners was asking on our website, I mean, on our email list for goats for hire. So you can rent a goat.
And you can retreat.
Yeah, so he said, once the goats defoliated it, you could see the runners and pull it out better. I mean, yeah,
And it's fun to watch the goats.
That's the problem is they will eat everything. So, but if you have a whole lot of one thing or a whole lot of invasive stuff and nothing good in it, in the mix, then go to the answer.
It's already pulling down large pine trees.
Oh, I don't-
It's 30 years of being shot.
Oh my God, don't fertilize. Holy crap, I just can't even imagine. Anyway, don't fertilize invasives or natives, quite frankly. Neither of them need it.
Bahia grass, I guess I was kind of curious.
So I think that's on the Invasive Plant Council's site. By all means, look at, and if it's not, it's on one of those other sites. Look it up and see what they think about taking it down. Bahia, I'm sorry, she's talking about Bahia grass. I think it's spelled Bahia. Yeah, and it gets pretty tall too, doesn't it?
Goes fast.
Yeah, and if it's the one I'm thinking, I have it in my backyard and it'll grow in any kind of soil.
Right.
I think it would grow on this floor.
Yes.
I hack it out in the winter because you can kind of see it then. I hack it out as much as I can. I never get it all, so it just keeps coming. If I feel like it's like liriope, if one molecule of it is in the ground, it's just gonna come back. But I just keep hacking it. And I use like this tool here. Sorry, you guys online, you can't see it. This is the best thing in the world. You can do a lot of damage with this, but we'll talk about it. Yes, somebody back there. Yes, please.
I was just gonna let you know that last year we did site visit to a location with English ivy. We had them mow it, cardboard, probably 4 to 6 inches of wood chips or mulch for entire year. And it was last spring. It is gone.
Wow, so that's a second person. Okay, so she said she did a site visit. The master gardeners here do site visits, which are awesome. And these people had a lot of ivy. They told them to mow it down and probably really low, right? A really low mow, yeah. And then cover it in cardboard and wood chips. I do think wood chips better than mulch, just, yeah. And it's dead. That is awesome to know. So won't help with if it's on the trees, but it'll help if it's on the ground. But to Nancy's point earlier, I'd still get it away from the trees. Cause it'll hop right up there and you'll be pulling it off the trees. So that's wonderful to know. So that's two people. That's good. Yes, ma'am.
What is the use of applicator?
Oh, so she's asking about the applicator that I've got a picture. Let me, for the people that are online, let's see, I think it's this way. So this, you can get this there. So this guy right up here, right? So this has got herbicide in it and a dye. You don't have to put the dye in, but trust me, it's much easier that way. I don't want to take it. So it's a little foamy thing here.
Bingo marker.
Yeah, it's a bingo marker. It's exactly that, except this is a little bit thicker, right? That's the only difference. There are people who use bingo markers. Thank you for reminding me of that. That's exactly it. One problem with that is that I did not label it. That's a big no-no, but it's kind of mine to know what's in it. But if I'm using it in a group, it needs to have a label on it that it's 20% glyphosate.
But just a month.
Yeah, so it is, I mean, you could write it out as in deadly poison gas, but is cut the vine or whatever, and then just, you kind of just dab it. Some people call them daubers. One of the things that, North Carolina Invasive Plant Council will do is when those things wear out, and trust me, they will, the little foamy thing wears out for anything, that container's never gonna wear out. They will exchange them for you. But when you buy those, you get a couple of the little foamy things and a couple lids, cause trust me, you're gonna lose a lid. But they do that exchange thing. I think you'd have to go to Raleigh to get it. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna buy new ones and let the drones bring it in.
Do they provide a bottle of dye or?
So that it comes, so she wanted to know if when you buy these applicators, if it comes with dye, you can buy a kit that's like that. It's 2 applicators, a couple of the foamy things, a couple of the lids, more than 2. And then it comes with a little bottle of dye that do not get it on anything that you don't want to be blue. Cause it is, and then I put way too much in that, and so I put blue everywhere. But a couple of, a tablespoon would have been fine. Any other questions?
What's the coloring one?
Huh? I really, this dye is not expensive and I would use it just because it stays a little bit longer. The first bottle of this I ever did, I didn't put enough dye in. And so it was sort of, I'm trying to find, it was just kind of like cool water color, and you really couldn't tell where you had been. This is much better. A little too much dye is better than, and I wouldn't try to use something else. It just works and that's what I'd use. And that's from the website is naisma.org. And they have a ton of information too, but it's more North American stuff. So you'll find all kinds of other hideous plants that we don't have. And you can feel sorry for the people in, California. Yes, ma'am.
What's so bad about Bradford pear?
Okay, so that's such a great question. What is bad about Bradford pear? So anybody got any answers for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they said the smell. Yeah, I wish that was the only problem. Okay, what is the problem? It does break easy in a storm.
Well, cross-pollinate, even though it was supposed to be sterile. And
Yes.
the cross-pollinated trees, when they grow, have thorns on them. And the thorns are so strong that when they try and eradicate them, they have to use the big mechanical.
Like tanks. You have to,
You
yeah.
can't use tires.
No, because it will, okay, so it smells bad, it breaks in a breeze, not enough though, honestly, it doesn't break good enough, right? But it does get thorns on it that are deadly, I mean, they are amazing, it's like nails sticking out of a tree. I cut some today and even the little ones have some thorns on them. So you can't just go through with a tractor and take them out, you have to use sort of like a tank kind of thing, bulldozer kind of thing. So they also, again, every seed seems to make a new tree. And so you can be driving down the road in the spring and you'll just see all this white, probably in some vacant field somewhere. And it used to be a diverse group of things. And now it's just Bradford, calorie pear because it's reverted.
Driving down the railroad.
Railroad.
Yeah, yes.
It's right here in Mingo.
Yeah. What's interesting is that in South Carolina, you cannot buy them anymore, but in good old North Carolina, you still can. But I see more of them in South Carolina. It's only right online, so.
They have asked for Bradford pears, and there's some place in Greensboro, you can take them. They would give you, something else.
Where's the master repair bounty?
Yeah, thank you, there's a Bradford Pear Bounty that the North Carolina Wildlife Federation does every so often.
By county.
Yeah, by county, yeah, and we haven't done one in Union County for a little while, so maybe that's coming up. So all you have to do is show us a picture that you killed it. I guess there needs to be some kind of timestamp on there, you didn't kill it 5 years ago, and we will give you a tree, a native tree, not a mimosa. Right?
And
Yeah.
make sure your plants are overly pollinated
Okay, for your bees.
for our honeybees.
But one of the other things that Sheila mentioned was that originally Bradford pears were supposed to be sterile. They were gonna be this beautiful white bloomy tree, and then they didn't act that way. Which brings up a point, that there are lots of plants that the horticulture industry says are sterile and are not gonna, I call it junk. But you can't always be sure of that, so things are not always as simple as they look. Yes, ma'am.
Someone wants to know, is clover considered invasive when it's taking over the grass? How would you remove it?
So is clover considered invasive? It's taken over her lawn, I suppose she means. And how do you get rid of it? It's kind of actually funny because when I first became a master gardener, I remember telling Debbie that I was going to have a clover lawn. And Debbie said, good luck with that. And left me. And she was right. I can't get that stuff to grow. That is hilarious that it's growing all over the place. I would love to have a clover lawn.
Have to inoculate the seed first.
Well, I did that. And it just didn't like where I was.
Then you had too much fertilizer.
Or not,
That's nitrogen.
it's actually not enough. But so she doesn't want the clover. Yeah.
And put nitrogen in your soil.
Call the extension agent.
That's a good answer. Call the extension agents, especially the turf grass guys. There's an entire section on extension about turf grass, and I am sure there's tons of stuff in there about how to get rid of clover. I'm trying to grow it. How to bring it to you.
Dutch clover is something that we like for our honeybees.
Yeah, exactly. It's not native, but it's a nice little pollinator.
If you come to our lawn, you will see a lawn of Dutch clover.
Yeah, who's got Dutch clover in their lawn?
Is that the one with the white flower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I mow it and it, keeps coming back, especially with all this rain, it's very happy. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Sunshine privet, if they claim it's, not invasive, do you know?
I wouldn't, so sunshine privet, I'm not even sure what that is. I just don't believe that any privet is, they're all bad.
Yeah, it varies.
Exactly.
It's
And-
varies. It's gonna be invasive.
Yeah, eventually, if not right this very second, there's still people that'll argue that the broader leaf, privet that I brought in here is not really invasive. I'm like, then why is it everywhere we didn't plant it here? So I'm not gonna argue about it anymore. I'm just gonna kill them. So, yeah. Any other questions? You guys have been great. Yes, ma'am.
Is pokeweed bad?
It's actually native. Yeah, so, it's just, can you see it growing? So she asked if pokeweed is bad. Somebody ought to study how it can grow that fast. It is stunning.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It's native and the birds love to eat the berries and theoretically you can eat the leaves, but I wouldn't even try. Because you have to do a certain way anyway. So most people just cut it back. I mean, you could cut it back and paint it, we'd like to say, but I just cut it back. Because it's kind of supposed to be there. But man, 10 feet
Yeah,
tall.
trees, yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning what it can do in a season. Just wonderful. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple of mantinas left, I took all the others out, but they don't have berries.
Oh, then I wouldn't worry about it. So she's got an angina that doesn't have berries. Yeah, I've seen some that don't ever get berries. And then it seems like some of them will just be covered up in them and others won't have any. When I tell people who've got nandinas in their landscape and it's, kind of part of the plan or whatever, just cut the berries off. They're not gonna go anywhere else.
It's not berry, but I don't like the end of it.
Well, then take them out.
Yeah, the cultivars don't fruit. Like the firepower, those different ones.
At all?
They don't flower fruit. They're just ornamental. And they get ugly after a few years. And the right deal with that, Aviana, is just cut them down to the ground. And then they'll come back and grow and be pretty for a few years.
So she's saying that certain cultivars do not get berries on them and they'll get ugly.
Yeah, it's just a Nandina domestica.
Yeah, just cut it back and it'll start looking better. If you want to keep it or cut it back and kill it. There's so many other, it shows you choices. There's so many other choices. Yeah. that are interesting and fairly readily available. Some of them are probably in your backyard and you don't even know they're back there. Any other questions? Awesome, go kill some invasive plants.
And go help promote some invasive.
Yes, please. That's the best way to learn. Oh, this isn't working.
There is a hot.
Oh, invasive plant removal. My sister's name.
I don't give a.
My sister.
It was like.